Welcome to Pioneers in Payments, where payments experts share their insights. Now, here's our host, Donna Blum.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Pioneers in Payments. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Kevin, Payments Professor Olsen from Pidgin. Welcome, Kevin.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
So, Kevin, to get us started, would you mind sharing a little bit with our audience about how you got the title Payments Professor and also about your background in the payments industry and the work that you do at Pidgin?
Oh, wow. This could be the whole podcast. I've been working in payments industry for a very long time, and I spent a very long time actually working in payment associations. And even before that, I did payments education. But in the payments association, I actually got to where I ran education departments on electronic payments. And people would jokingly say, you're kind of like the ACH whisperer and the check whisperer. And so I finally just created a website and a YouTube channel called Payments Professor, to where I could, because people were asking me, could you record this? Could you make it to where we could watch it over and over again? So I created, again, the YouTube channel of Payments Professor, and I've been known as that ever since. And I mean, hence the bow tie. The bow tie goes along with being the Payments Professor. And that is something that actually I am blessed, because in part of my work at Pidgin is they encourage me to be out there educating the industry of what's happening. And, that means educating people in payments, new to payments, a lot of times even CEOs, third-party processors that are want to getting into it, businesses that want to get involved, even consumers that are using the payments systems. And at Pidgin, I get to focus on really faster payment solutions. I get to focus on what is our strategy for being able to accommodate what the industry is going to require in a few years. What can we do to innovate new products, innovate new services to be able to really help the United States, help businesses, help consumers to be able to process more securely and more effectively.
What would you say is the most notable trend?
I would say we are in the most exciting time of electronic payments ever. I mean, ever. I never thought a new payment channel, let alone really two, would come along in my lifetime. And I say two because RTP is its own payments channel, and it's been around for about 5 years now. And now we're going to have FedNow going live in July 2023. This is the most exciting time ever in the US in electronic payments, in my opinion, because of what it's doing, what it's creating, what will happen for years to come because of all of this, and being able to be involved in that groundwork. That, to me, that is by far the biggest trend. And it's a trend that's going to create trends and create innovation, create products, and create services that I don't think many of us can even envision in some ways, at least not yet, but we're going to be blown away by, and we're going to use for decades to come.
It definitely is an exciting time in the industry. So let's talk a little bit about the top opportunity for organizations that process payments.
Well, top opportunities for an organization to process payments, that's really a general area right there, because it's like, well, what type of payments are you processing? How are you processing? A big question I get that would be similar to that is, where is really the use case for faster payments? So the people are going to process it, what type of payments are they going to process? And I love explaining, really, first of all, what payment types are allowed in, let's say, FedNow. And I tell people it's not like ACH. And I love my ACH, don't get me wrong, but with ACH, you got to know 23 SEC codes. You got to know, is it consumer? Is it business? Is it debit? Is it credit? Does it involve a check? There's so many details that you got to be aware of. With FedNow, you can send P2P, A to A, consumer to business, business to consumer. You can have business to business transactions. I mean, really, if there's a payment type you can think of, it's allowed. And what that means for those people out there processing payments, FedNow is an instant credit push only, 24/7, 365, because it's available all the time, system that will be able to take whatever type of processing you're doing. And I want to stress this too, not necessarily eliminate what you're currently doing, but be an addition and be a complement to the processing that you're currently doing.
That's great. Since we're on the topic of FedNow, which is going to be released this summer, I was curious too, if you might speak for a moment, and I'm kind of interjecting a new question on you here, Kevin.
Uh,
So, but I know that you are well equipped to respond. So we do see that in a lot of financial institutions, they do still have legacy applications built decades ago that really weren't ideally designed to. Uh, to handle real-time payments and still have like batch settlement processes, for example. So, would you talk a little bit about that? Like, what is needed for the industry to really embrace real-time payments?
that is great because that's the number one area I tell people you got to address. And it's really called this. It's called the core.
Yeah,
What is your core capable of? What can your core do? And I feel like some people are handcuffed because of their core's inability to be able to
right.
handle some things. So one of the things we've done, at least at Pidgin, is really focus on solutions that can solve for being able to, the big thing in FedNow is the immediate funds availability. That's a huge deal. And we've figured out ways to be able to solve for, to be able to what we call hit the core or have a transaction post, even if they are in that old batch style mode, even if they have not yet updated to where they need to be, because there are still some certain connectivity options that are out there and available. Now, having said that, there are many cores that maybe they haven't updated their systems exactly where they need to be, but they are working with other third-party providers like us and others to be able to find solutions that will be able to meet the needs and the demands of FedNow, because they recognize that their customers, they need this and they need that ability. So when you look at the different cores, there are some of those true legacy systems that I think they just need to be replaced, especially
Right.
with like a real-time core system. And it is something that's slow and it is a bottleneck and it is going to be an issue for some organizations. But the industry has always been really good of rising to the occasion. Sometimes slowly, but surely enough, we will get there. And there are many cores, like there's some cores that we've done some certification work with. They're ready. We can work with them right now. If FedNow were live right now, we'd be processing with them right now. So it is a matter of who your core is. And then it's a matter of what the solution is. But in most cases, and I can't say all because I haven't worked with all cores, but in most cases, there is a solution that is available. Ideally, though, we want it to be a direct connect or at least through an API direct connection so that it's not a problem.
That's great. Thank you for that. So we talked about the greatest opportunity. What would you say is the greatest challenge today for organizations that process payments?
It's the same answer. It's the core. It is really getting that. It is also, I got to say this too, because one thing that you'll know if you ever read through my biography is I just finished a master's degree in industrial psychology. And I've been doing a lot of research on the psychology of payments and the psychology behind what people do in the financial organizations. And believe it or not, there's a lot of research out there on banks and processors and payments. And the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle is the change factor.
Yeah.
It is really realizing that FedNow is a simpler system than what we've used before with more capability. And that's hard for people to grasp their mind around. It's the reality that it's just credit push, that there are no debits, that yes, there will be fraud. I'm not going to be one of those that say that it won't be, but I also tell you this, there's no payments channel that doesn't have fraud.
Yeah.
It's just, it happens everywhere. But because it's new, because it's different, really people are having a trouble wrapping their head around it. There's some organizations that I almost feel like the only way they'll offer this is if their number one customer walks in and goes, I want FedNow, but they don't realize their number one customer has no idea who FedNow is. They just want faster payments and they're asking for it, but they're not asking for it directly. They're asking for it when they call and they say, wait, where's my money? They're asking for it when they call and they say, hey, when's this check going to clear? They're asking for it when they call and they say, why hasn't this debit ever cleared my account? Whereas FedNow would solve for all of those situations.
I imagine some of the pressure may come once FedNow is live and business owners talk to other business owners, and when they're finding out that their financial institution is able to handle these real-time payments, and they start asking the question, well, I wonder why I don't have that available through my financial institution. There's going to be more and more pressure, right, to adopt real-time payments.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be one of those cases where you're going to see somebody send money. It happens in a couple of seconds, and they're going to go, how do you do that?
Exactly.
Tell me exactly how you did that. Or they receive the money. They're, maybe they're out in a fishing trip and all of a sudden, ding, hey, I just got that bill paid from that other company I've been waiting on. And the other guy's going to be, wait, it's Saturday though. I know, but there's the money.
Yeah. Yeah. And the banks will have to listen then.
Yes. Well, actually, if I may, I really think one of the huge catalysts that's going to cause FedNow mass adoption is a great way to say it too, is the reality that it is offered from the Federal Reserve banks,
Yes.
and that the U.S. Department of Treasury is involved in the FedNow pilot. That is public information. And in the announcement of FedNow going live, it also states that U.S. Department of Treasury will be involved in the going live. Now, they haven't said exactly what they'll do, but imagine this. Imagine where the U.S. Department of Treasury, the government, is using the FedNow service for IRS returns. You could get your IRS return in seconds for Social Security benefits, for something like FEMA. Then if that institutions aren't on the FedNow network, can't receive those government benefit payments, oh, you betcha that then the account holders are going to go, I'm going to go somewhere else. I don't want to wait 3 or 4 days for those. I want to be able to get them now.
Right. Right. I agree. Okay, so we just talked about the top opportunity, the top challenge. Now I'm going to ask you to kind of summarize everything that you know about what's happening in the industry today. What's your silver bullet piece of advice for our listeners?
Well, okay, with everything happening in the industry today, there's a couple of things that I look at. And first of all, one of them is customer experience. The end user experience with an instant payment is amazing, because all of you listening, all of you out there, I want you to think about this. Let's say you're going to get $1,000. Would you like it now or in a week? Would you take it now if you could have it in your account right now, or in another day or two? That's customer experience. Something else that I really get excited about that I think is going to just revolutionize the industry is what we call request for payment. Mm-hmm. Because in the FedNow system, it is a credit push only system. There are no debits. So people say, but how am I going to pay a bill? Well, the way it works is request for payment gives the ability of, say, your electric company to send you a request for you to pay your bill. And you respond with a credit push. Where classically, we know they just go in and debit your account, whether the money's there or not, right? And that can cause so many problems, so much heartache, so much headache. So I really believe, especially with the cost of sending paper bills, you take something, you make it electronic, like request for payment. I really believe we're going to see industry changes to the point where you'll go from having a due date on your bills to having a due time, to allow for people like in the gig economy to be able to make money up until that hour, that minute, to be able to resolve and answer the request for payments. I also think from a business perspective, the request for payment will give businesses that are, hey, we're low on cash flow here, an opportunity to say, we're going to give you a discount if you'll pay now, so that they can generate some more cash flow as needed. Or even the businesses, some smaller businesses, they'll want to wait till the last minute to be able to make those payments too, because they're balancing everything. So request for payment, mark my words, it is going to revolutionize the industry on top of what FedNow will do.
I think those are some excellent use cases and examples. Just as you were talking, one thing that came to mind too is, instead of the payment always coming out of, let's say, your bank account, this gives the payer some flexibility as to where they want the funds to come from, right?
Well, it will have to be tied to a bank account in some way. There are digital wallets that will still could be tied to the bank account, but FedNow, being through the Federal Reserve banks, does require a connection to what we call a master account. So it is and this is good. I mean, some people are like, I don't know if I like it then. The reality is this is FDIC insured. This is NCUA insured payments going through. You got it. You know that your money can't be lost if something goes wrong with one of the institutions along the way. So it does require a financial institution. However, there are like 9,000 of them out there in the US. So you should be good.
Well, and perhaps just that option is, do I pay this out of my checking account or my savings account or my business account? So it's not tied specifically to one account.
Yes.
But Well, okay, so this is all really exciting, and I just want to make sure that before we let you go, that we have provided our audience with some information on how they can learn more about Pidgin, about you as the payments professor. If they're looking for advice, where can they go?
Well, if you want to learn more about Pidgin, it's easy. www.pidgin.net. We've got a website out there. We'll be able to take care of you. If you're looking for a faster payment solution, we've got multiple options that are out there and available for you. If you want more on education in the realm of faster payments, then it's paymentsprofessor.com. Go to YouTube, Payments Professor there. Actually, I just got on Instagram too. I'm catching up with the social media time, I guess you could say, and offering shorter, faster education now. So payments professors out there, LinkedIn, post stuff all the time, want to do all I can to help make sure that we are able to advance electronic payments, especially faster payments, and that people stay educated on what's happening.
That's great. Well, I so appreciate what you do. I love reading what you post on LinkedIn. That's where I follow you primarily. And I also just want to thank you so much for your time today and thank the people who are watching us as well. Have a wonderful day.